What's up, everybody? Piscean here. Okay, in this video, we're gonna go over everything in the Esoteric Syntagma, and it's a compendium of neo-astrological theories and original solutions. Please like, subscribe, comment, share if you dare care, with peace and love. And this is compiled and formulated for the advanced practitioner. So the cosmos does not merely happen to us. It is a mechanism we are actively constructing through observation. The natal chart is not a map of destiny, but a control panel for probability. So welcome to the Esoteric Syntagma. Traditional astrology relies on deterministic frameworks, assuming planetary bodies project immutable linear influences onto passive subjects. The advanced paradigms contained within this compendium challenge this archaic notion. Herein we introduce 4 original astrological theories designed to address the anomalies, energetic bottlenecks, and evolutionary blind spots of classical and modern psychological astrology. So, accompanying each theory is an original mathematically and philosophically rigorous solution, a practical framework allowing the practitioner to intervene in the native's energetic matrix directly. Alright, quantum chart transposition, or QCT. Let me see, I have that theory. The superposition of the natal chart. So the core premise of quantum chart transposition, or QCT, posits that a natal chart does not represent a static two-dimensional snapshot of spacetime. Rather, the natal chart is a probability sphere. Until a native consciously engages with the planetary archetype, that planet exists in a state of superposition, simultaneously expressing its highest evolutionary potential and its lowest shadow manifestation. Anomalies occur when outer transits, for example, Pluto square natal moon, observe or force a collapse of the waveform. If the native is unconscious, the waveform collapses into the densest, most dramatic expression, the default gravity state. The flaw in classical predictive astrology is that it attempts to predict the outcome of the collapse rather than maintaining the superposition until a favorable outcome can be selected. And the solution here is the chrono-anchoring technique. So essentially, to prevent premature or unconscious collapse of a difficult transit, the practitioner must employ chrono-anchoring. The solution utilizes the chart's fastest moving personal bodies, Mercury and the Moon, to tether consciousness to the highest frequency of the incoming slow-moving transit. And the methodology requires calculating the intercession point, which is IP. And we can see here that our intercession point equals T degree, adding N degree, divided by 2, adding D moon, multiplying 0.618. Essentially, this is where T deg is the exact degree of the transiting outer planet. N deg is the natal planet's degree, and D moon is the daily motion of the progressed moon. So by locating the IP degree on the ecliptic, the practitioner identifies a safe harbor degree. Here is implementation, the ritual of the intercession point. So when the transiting sun or transiting moon crosses the IP, usually weeks before the actual challenging transit exacts, the native must perform a deliberate act of conscious creation related to the transited natal planet. For example, if the impending transit is Saturn square Venus, the native uses the IP activation date to voluntarily restructure a financial asset or deliberately redefine a relationship boundary. This conscious act collapses the waveform on the native's terms, effectively neutralizing the deterministic shock of the exact transit. So here is the heliocentric geocentric dialectic. The theory here is karmic drag and orbital friction. So, human beings experience life geocentrically, and it's Earth at the center, the soul's origin, and ultimate return coordinate to the heliocentric reality, and sun's at the center. So, the geocentric dialectic suggests that psychological suffering, existential dread, and karmic loops are generated by the geometric discrepancy between a native's geocentric natal chart, the ego's map, and their heliocentric chart, the soul's map. When a planet like Mars is in Aries geocentrically, but in Libra heliocentrically, due to retrograde mechanics and orbital perspective, a profound internal friction occurs. We see that the ego desires assertion Aries, while the sun requires relational harmonization Libra. This discrepancy is the true source of what classical astrologers mistakenly call debilitated or afflicted placements. And stay tuned for the next memorandum. There's going to be a lot more on this channel, for sure. Excuse me. On retrograde mechanics and orbital perspectives. So here is the solution. It's going to be the orbital vector point, or OVP. So the solution is not to favor one chart over the other, but to synthesize them through the calculation of the orbital vector point, or OVP. The OVP acts as an energetic bridge, allowing the ego to fulfill the soul's mandate without feeling annihilated in the process. The OVP for any planetary body is calculated by finding the shortest arc distance between its geocentric longitude and its heliocentric longitude, and bisecting it. So you see OVP equals our geo, adding helio, subtracting geo, dividing 2. So here is implementation, synthesizing the dialectic. Once the OVP for the conflicted planet is found, the practitioner examines the zodiacal sign, as well as Sabian symbol and house placement of the OVP. This specific degree holds the answer to the native's internal contradiction. For example, geocentric Mars is at Aries 15 degrees, heliocentric Mars 5 degrees Libra, the OVP lies at Cancer 10 degrees. Application. The native resolves their conflict between selfish aggression and passive aggression by channeling their energy into fierce protection and nurturing of the vulnerable Cancer. The OVP provides a third path, entirely neutralizing the friction between the geocentric and heliocentric charts. Here is astrological epigenetics, or the zodiacal genome. And we get into the theory here of transits as epigenetic frequencies. So, standard astrology views planetary transits as external events influencing the native. Zodiacal genome theory flips this. So, transits are ambient cosmic frequencies that act upon the native's DNA, functioning as epigenetic switches. A planetary body does not make an event happen, it emits a specific electromagnetic resonance that turns certain ancestral trauma markers or dormant genius traits on or off. For instance, Pluto does not cause an inheritance dispute. Pluto's frequency passing over a natal degree activates a specific epigenetic sequence in the native that governs survival threat responses inherited from 3 generations prior. The native's altered neurochemistry then provokes the external dispute. And here is the solution. The bioharmonic mitigation strategy. So if transits are frequencies activating epigenetic markers, the solution is to introduce a counter frequency to jam or harmonically adjust the signal before it alters a native's biology. We call this bioharmonic mitigation. So every planet archetype corresponds to specific frequencies, as well as colors, and spatial environments. By deliberately altering the native's physical environment to match the antidote planet, the planet ruling the sign opposite the transiting planet, The epigenetic switch can be dampened. Here is the implementation. Environmental counter-resonance. So when a severe transit is approaching, for example, Uranus, it's opposing the natal sun. The practitioner calculates the threshold window. That's exactly 3 degrees before exactitude. During this window, the native must immerse themselves in the planetary frequency of the transit's natural zodiacal opposite. So we see if Uranus, for example, it's Aquarius, it's air, it's electricity, is a stressor, the native must actively engage in extreme solar, which is Leo, fire, and heart activities. So, this means engaging in heart rate elevating aerobic exercise, exposure to direct sunlight, and consuming thermogenic foods. By saturating the biological vessel with solar frequencies, the Uranian epigenetic switch finds no receptive biological markers to activate, completely mitigating the physiological and psychological shock of the transit. Alright, dark matter astrology. The void nodes. So, essentially, the theory here is the structural gravity of empty space. In astrophysics, dark matter comprises the vast majority of the universe's mass, holding galaxies together invisibly. In dark matter astrology, we postulate that the empty space is in a natal chart, which unaspected planets, empty houses, intercepted signs, and degrees with no Ptolemaic aspects hold massive invisible structural gravity. Classical astrology focuses entirely on what is visible, the planets. However, the void nodes, the exact center points of the largest empty arcs in the 360-degree wheel, contain a density of unmanifested potential. When a native continually repeats destructive life patterns despite immense self-awareness, they are trapped in the gravitational pull of their chart's astrological dark matter. The solution is barycentric focal activation. To release the native from the invisible pull of their chart's voids, the practitioner must locate the barycentric focal point, BFP, of the empty space. This is the exact center of gravity of the largest segment of the zodiac that contains absolutely no planets or major asteroids. BFP equals 0 start, and we're adding 0 void divided by 2. Where 0 start is the degree of the last planet bounding the void, and 0 void is the total degree size of the empty space. So here is the deliberate void construct, the implementation here. Because the BFP represents unmanifested dark matter, cannot be activated by standard astrological remediation, such as gemstones, mantras. It must be activated by a construct of the void. The native is instructed to take up a practice that is completely alien, uncharacteristic, and entirely unrelated to any existing skills or desires they possess. If the BFP falls in the 9th house in Sagittarius, but the native is a deeply introverted, non-academic, 4th house Cancer stellium type, the native must force an artificial, highly regimented engagement with the 9th house. For example, learning a dead language with no practical application, or studying abstract philosophy. By deliberately forcing energy into the BFP, the native converts dark matter into luminous matter, and this rebalances the entire natal chart, instantly relieving the pressure on heavily aspected planets and breaking lifelong karmic loops. So the conclusion here, the transition from a passive recipient of cosmic weather to an active architect of one's energetic matrix is the highest calling of the modern esotericist. The theories of quantum chart transposition, heliocentric geocentric resonance, astrological epigenetics, and dark matter astrology provide not just a new lens for understanding the cosmos, but a veritable toolkit for altering reality. By implementing the original solutions provided in this compendium, practitioners can elevate their art from mere divination to true cosmic engineering. Thank you for watching this video with peace and love, and I hope to see you in the next one. Please see you out.